My perfect sister sabotaged my career and wedding, but karma delivered a shocking twist. I need to preface this by saying that I never thought my life would turn into one of those dramatic stories you read about online, the ones where you shake your head and wonder how people can be so incredibly cruel. But here I am, pouring my heart out, hoping for some advice, some validation, or maybe just a collective gasp of disbelief. This is long, incredibly long, because there are so many layers to this nightmare, so please bear with me. My older sister, let's call her Serafina, has always been the golden child. From the moment she could walk and talk, she was showered with praise, attention, and opportunities. She was beautiful, intelligent, effortlessly popular, and excelled at everything she touched. I, on the other hand, was always just Serafina's little sister. I was smart enough, attractive enough, but never enough to escape her shadow. My parents, while never explicitly saying it, always made it clear who their favorite was. Serafina's achievements were celebrated with grand parties and expensive gifts, while mine were met with a casual, "That's nice, dear." I learned early on that to gain any semblance of recognition, I had to work twice as hard, often for half the acknowledgement. This dynamic, while frustrating, became the norm. I accepted it, or at least I thought I did. I focused on my own life, built my own successes, and tried to genuinely be happy for her, even when it felt like a dagger in my own aspirations. The first major blow came during our university years. We both pursued similar fields, creative writing and journalism. It was a passion we shared, a rare common ground. I had poured my heart and soul into my portfolio, meticulously crafting short stories, essays, and even a portion of a novel I was working on. I had been accepted into a highly prestigious and competitive creative writing program, one that was renowned for launching the careers of successful authors and journalists. It was my dream come true. Serafina, who had initially shown little interest in this specific program, suddenly declared she wanted to apply as well, despite having focused more on her social life and less on her academic pursuits during her undergraduate years. I was hesitant, knowing her history of overshadowing me, but my parents, of course, encouraged her, stating it would be wonderful for us to attend the same program. The application process was grueling. I spent countless nights refining my submissions, seeking feedback from professors, and pushing myself to produce my absolute best work. Serafina, predictably, seemed to breeze through it, claiming her natural talent was all she needed. Imagine my horror, then, when I discovered that a significant portion of her application essay, specifically the part discussing a deeply personal and emotional experience from our childhood that I had written about in my own application, was almost verbatim copied from my early drafts. I confronted her, heartbroken and furious. She simply shrugged, claiming great minds think alike and that I was overreacting. My parents, when I tearfully brought it to their attention, dismissed it as a minor oversight and told me not to make a fuss. They sided with Serafina. As always, the program's admissions committee, however, was not so easily fooled. While I was accepted, Serafina's application was flagged for plagiarism. Instead of owning up to her actions, she spun a tale of woe, claiming I had maliciously sabotaged her application out of jealousy. My parents, naturally, believed her. The fallout was immense. I was painted as the jealous, vindictive sister, and my acceptance into the program felt tainted by the accusations and the family drama. I went, of course, but the joy was diminished, replaced by a lingering sense of betrayal and isolation from my own family. Serafina, meanwhile, managed to get into a different, less prestigious program and continued to spread her narrative of me being the villain. This set the tone for years of veiled resentment and passive-aggressive jabs from her and, at times, my parents. Despite the initial sting, I thrived in the program. I worked tirelessly, published several short stories in literary magazines, and secured a promising internship at a major publishing house shortly after graduation. My career was finally taking off. Around this time, I met Daniel, the most incredible man I had ever known. He was kind, intelligent, supportive, and saw me for who I was, not as Serafina's sister. Our relationship blossomed quickly, and after 3 wonderful years, he proposed. I was over the moon. Finally, something truly good and untainted was happening in my life. Planning the wedding was a joyous experience, despite Serafina's constant attempts to insert herself into every decision and make everything about her. She insisted on being the maid of honor, a request I reluctantly agreed to, hoping it would appease her and prevent further drama. Big mistake. From suggesting a dress that would deliberately outshine mine to constantly accidentally spilling details of my personal life to guests, she was a whirlwind of subtly malicious acts. I tried to ignore it, focusing on Daniel and the beautiful future we were building. The real trouble began when my publishing house offered me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a significant promotion that would involve leading a major new literary imprint and a substantial raise. It was everything I had ever dreamed of, the culmination of years of hard work and dedication. The only catch: it would require me to relocate to a different city, about 3 states away, for at least 2 years. Daniel, being the incredible partner he is, was fully supportive. He even offered to look for job opportunities in the new city so we could move together. We were so excited, making plans for our new life, our careers, and our upcoming wedding that I shared the news with my family, expecting at least a modicum of genuine happiness. My parents offered a lukewarm "that's nice," but Serafina's reaction was chilling. She feigned excitement initially, but her eyes held a calculating glint. A few days later, she casually mentioned that she had always wanted to explore a different career path and was thinking of getting into publishing. I brushed it off as another one of her fleeting interests. I couldn't have been more wrong. Approximately 3 weeks before my wedding, with all the arrangements finalized and our moving plans well underway, a bomb dropped. I received a cryptic email from my human resources department asking me to come in for an urgent meeting. When I arrived, I was met by my direct supervisor and a Samba HR representative. They informed me, with great regret, that the promotion offer was being rescinded. My world imploded. They cited recent revelations about my professional conduct that had come to their attention. They couldn't go into specifics, but they stated there were concerns about my judgment and integrity that made me unsuitable for a leadership position. They wouldn't fire me outright, but they made it clear that my future at the company, particularly in any advanced role, was severely limited. I was devastated, confused, and utterly bewildered. I had always maintained an impeccable professional record. I racked my brain, trying to think of anything that could have led to this. As I left the meeting, my mind racing, a single, horrifying thought emerged. Serafina that I went home, numb, and immediately confronted her. She played innocent, of course, claiming she had no idea what I was talking about. But her eyes, again, gave her away. I pushed, I pleaded, I demanded answers. Finally, under immense pressure, she broke. She admitted it. She had gone through my personal laptop, which I had foolishly left unlocked during a family dinner a few weeks prior. She found drafts of personal emails I had sent to Daniel, expressing frustrations about demanding colleagues and particularly challenging projects. These were private, venting sessions, not professional complaints. She also found an early, unpolished draft of a short story I was working on, a dark satire that included thinly veiled caricatures of some of my more annoying colleagues. These were creative expressions, never intended for public consumption, let alone for the eyes of my HR department. Serafina had compiled these private communications, taken them completely out of context, and anonymously forwarded them to my company's HR department, along with a scathing, fabricated letter claiming I was unprofessional, disloyal, and unfit for leadership. She knew precisely what she was doing. She knew that even ambiguous accusations could be enough to scuttle a promotion, especially one that involved a significant increase in responsibility and trust. Her motive? Pure, unadulterated jealousy. She confessed that she couldn't stand the thought of me having such a successful career, a loving fiancé, and a bright future, while she, despite her golden child status, felt like her own life was stagnating. She admitted she had even started applying for jobs at my publishing house, hoping to get in through the back door and somehow take my place, or at least be close enough to continue to monitor my success. She truly believed she deserved my opportunity more than I did. A twisted sense of entitlement that stemmed from years of being coddled. I was beyond furious. I was shattered. My career, my future, everything I had worked for, was crumbling because of her malicious envy. The wedding, which was just around the corner, suddenly felt like a hollow mockery of our lost future. Daniel was devastated for me, but his unwavering support was the only thing keeping me from completely breaking down. I told my parents what Serafina had done, showing them the evidence I had managed to piece together from my email logs and the timestamps on the anonymous submissions to HR. I expected outrage, disappointment, something. Instead, they offered Serafina a stern talking to, and then turned to me, telling me I should be more careful with my personal information and that families should stick together. They blamed me for leaving my laptop unlocked, effectively condoning Serafina's actions. It was the ultimate betrayal. At this point, I decided I couldn't have Serafina in my wedding, not after what she had done. I told her she was no longer the maid of honor, and frankly, I didn't want her there at all. This, predictably, caused another massive family fight. My parents accused me of being petty and ruining the family dynamic right before my wedding. I stood my ground, my heart hardening against their continued favoritism. The week before the wedding was a blur of trying to salvage my career, which felt impossible, and dealing with the emotional wreckage of my family. I went through the motions, numbly attending my final dress fitting and rehearsal dinner, all while feeling like a zombie. Daniel was my rock, constantly reminding me that we would get through this, that our love was stronger than any of Serafina's machinations. The day of the wedding arrived, a beautiful sunny day that felt completely at odds with the storm raging inside me. Serafina, despite being uninvited by me, still showed up with my parents. She sat in the front row, looking smug, completely unrepentant. I tried to ignore her, focusing on Daniel, on the love and happiness that we were choosing to embrace despite everything. The ceremony proceeded as planned, with Daniel and I exchanging our vows, tears in our eyes, promising to love and cherish each other through thick and thin. As we walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, my heart felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could move past this. We arrived at the reception venue, a beautiful ballroom adorned with flowers and twinkling lights. The atmosphere was festive, and for a brief moment, I allowed myself to relax. We had just finished our first dance, and I was feeling a fragile sense of peace, when suddenly, the music cut out. All eyes turned to the stage, where my father stood, microphone in hand, looking unusually pale. Next to him was Serafina, beaming. My heart sank. I knew, with a dreadful certainty, that something was about to happen. My father cleared his throat and began to speak. He started by saying how proud he was of both his daughters and how this was a special day for the whole family. Then, he paused, took a deep breath, and dropped the bombshell. "Before we proceed with the toasts," he announced, his voice surprisingly firm, "Serafina has an important announcement she'd like to make." Serafina stepped forward, took the microphone, and with a sickeningly sweet smile, declared, "I just wanted to share some exciting news with everyone. I've accepted a fantastic new role as the head of a new literary imprint at my publishing house's name. It's a dream come true, and I'm so excited for this new chapter." A collective murmur went through the room. My publishing house. My promotion. The one I had lost. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Serafina looked directly at me, a triumphant, malicious glint in her eyes. It was a calculated, deliberate act of humiliation, designed to strip away any joy I had left on my wedding day. My parents, looking proud, applauded her. I stood there, stunned, tears welling up in my eyes. Daniel immediately wrapped his arm around me, his face a mask of fury. The guests, including many of my colleagues from the publishing house who were equally confused and uncomfortable, looked between me and Serafina, sensing the palpable tension. Just as I thought I couldn't endure any more, just as I was about to burst into tears and flee the reception, another voice cut through the stunned silence. It was a strong, authoritative voice, coming from the back of the room. "That's a very interesting announcement, Serafina," the voice said, especially considering we just finished our internal investigation into your recent employment application." All heads turned. Standing at the back of the room, impeccably dressed, was the CEO of my publishing house, a powerful and highly respected figure in the industry. Beside him stood the head of their legal department. They had not been invited to the wedding. Their presence was completely unexpected. Serafina's smug smile faltered. My parents looked bewildered. I, on the other hand, felt a surge of adrenaline, a glimmer of hope. The CEO walked forward, holding a thick file. He stopped directly in front of Serafina, his gaze unwavering. "We received an anonymous tip several weeks ago," he began, his voice calm but firm, detailing concerning allegations about one of our highly valued employees, my name. These allegations, along with supporting evidence, were quite serious. However, our due diligence uncovered some inconsistencies. Further investigation revealed a highly disturbing pattern of malicious facades and, frankly, criminal behavior. He opened the file. "Serafina," he continued, "our investigation revealed that you systematically access private data, including confidential client information, on my name's personal devices. You then fabricated and manipulated this information, anonymously submitting it to our HR department in a deliberate attempt to sabotage her career and secure her recent promotion for yourself. Furthermore, we uncovered evidence of your attempts to impersonate my name in email communications, and even an attempt to hack into her work accounts." The room was silent, save for a few gasps. Serafina's face had gone from triumphant to ashen. My parents looked utterly mortified. "We take these matters very seriously," the CEO concluded. "Not only will your application for employment be permanently rejected, but we have also filed a formal complaint with the authorities for corporate espionage, defamation, and attempted cybercrime. You will be hearing from our legal team, and likely from law enforcement, very soon." He then turned to me, a warm, apologetic smile gracing his lips. "As for you, my name," he said, his voice filled with genuine regret, "we are profoundly sorry for the distress and damage this malicious act has caused. Your promotion is, of course, reinstated. And, as a token of our extreme regret and faith in your integrity, we are also offering you a significant bonus and an additional year of paid sabbatical to fully recover from this ordeal and enjoy your new marriage." He extended his hand. "Congratulations on your wedding and on your well-deserved promotion. We look forward to your continued success with us." I was speechless. Tears, this time of overwhelming relief and gratitude, streamed down my face. Daniel squeezed my hand, his eyes shining. The reception exploded. People rushed forward to congratulate me, to hug me, to express their shock and disgust at Serafina's actions. My parents, looking utterly defeated, tried to disappear into the crowd, but it was too late. Serafina, pale and trembling, tried to argue, to deny, but her words were lost in the celebratory din. The police arrived shortly after, responding to the CEO's complaint. Serafina was led out of my wedding reception in handcuffs, sobbing and protesting, while my parents watched in stunned silence, their golden child in disgrace. It was a surreal, almost cinematic moment, a scene I never in a million years would have imagined witnessing. The rest of the wedding was, surprisingly, wonderful. The dark cloud that had hung over me for so long had finally lifted. Daniel and I danced, we laughed, we celebrated our love, knowing that we had overcome something truly terrible, and that justice, in the most dramatic way possible, had been served. Since then, things have been different. Serafina is facing serious legal charges, and her life, once seemingly perfect, has completely unraveled. My parents, for the first time in my life, have been forced to confront the reality of her actions and their own enablement. They've been trying to apologize, to make amends, but the wounds are deep. I'm taking the sabbatical, resting, healing, and planning my move with Daniel. My career is back on track, stronger than ever. Did I still grapple with the pain of what Serafina did, and the years of being overshadowed and dismissed by my family. But there's also a profound sense of peace. The truth came out, publicly and unequivocally. And on my wedding day, of all days, I finally, truly, stepped out of Serafina's shadow. It wasn't the wedding drama I ever wanted, but it was the dramatic twist that ultimately saved my career and, in a strange way, my sanity. I guess karma really does have a way of balancing the scales, even if it waits for the most unexpected moment.